This is The Herd. Wherever you may be and however you may be listening, live in Los Angeles. iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, FS1. The Herd sponsored by Firestone Complete Auto Care. Keep your car running newer, longer. Well. Little city out east. Boston. Oh, man. Way to put it together, Boston. Way to bury Cleveland early, Boston. Way to overwhelm the Cavs, Boston. Way to go up 3-2, Boston. You feeling good about yourself today. Way to go, Boston.
But if anybody waves a stick at you as you're shooting a free throw in Cleveland tomorrow night, Mommy, come and get me.
It'd be nice, Boston, as everybody kisses your butt today, about how great you are. Man, you are rolling 10-0 at home. Winning by 12.5 a game. You're awesome. Really, could you compete for more than 9 minutes on the road? Is that possible? Everybody looks good at home. Colin, what about LeBron? You mean the LeBron that swept Toronto, the number 1 seed? Winning the first 2 games on the road? That LeBron? Sorry, I didn't know if you'd watched that series. You mean the LeBron that had 61 career road playoff wins? That LeBron? You mean the LeBron, game 4, clutch, down 2-1, beat Indiana. At Indiana, that LeBron. Oh, yeah, because I've seen that LeBron this year, last year, year before. You do realize, Boston, I'm watching that game last night, and I'm thinking, congrats, you're going to get rolled tomorrow night in Cleveland. Setting up a Game 7 where LeBron in Game 7 averages 35 points, and in the last 25 series, LeBron has won at least one road game in every single one. Even won a couple one year at Oracle. Ooh, that's a tough place to play. Boy, look at all the Celtics today. Gun show, flexing their muscles. Try competing now for 7 minutes in Cleveland tomorrow night. You won't. You'll get rolled. Setting up a Game 7 against LeBron. Ask Indiana how that goes. I actually asked Golden State a couple years ago how that goes. LeBron's good in those Game 7s. Maybe you've heard of him. You know what the Celtics are? This is going to be really painful because today, Fitzy and Sully feeling really good in the South Bay about themselves. You know what Boston is? Boston's that kid that has a sleepover and he has to call mom at 9:30 to come pick him up.
Mom, I turned off the lights and I saw monsters. Mom, it's scary over here. Mom, they don't make me snickerdoodles and give me warm milk. Mom, I don't have my NBA pajamas on. Mommy, come and get me. They're waving things as I shoot a free throw behind the basket.
Congratulations, tough guys. At home, you're just unbelievable. LeBron has 61 road playoff wins. 2 this year at Toronto, the number 1 seed. And an incredible gutty performance, especially late fourth quarter at Indiana. Pretty good young team. You're 1-6 on the road. You get rolled. You quit. You couldn't beat Milwaukee. You couldn't beat Milwaukee on the road. Philadelphia basically beat you both times, and then they kind of gave one away. You know, their point guard's 9 years old. I understand that. But you do realize Game 7 at home is not like all the other home games. It's LeBron and veterans in Game 7, where he averages 35. We're in his last 25 playoff series. He's won at least one road game, and he'll win that one too. Let me shift to this. Do you like music? You ever notice what we write songs about that make us cry? They say like 80% of people who listen to music because it comforts them, makes them feel good. Having a sad day, a bad day, a rough day, the boss yells at them, the wife yells at them, the dad yells at them, comforts us. And we write songs all the time about the same thing. Country songs, classic songs, hip-hop songs. We write it about when you go back to help people in your hometown. They don't have the advantages you do. We love that song, man. This in America, if there's one thing we write songs about all the time, it's returning home. We love that song. That song, it makes me cry. I get emotional when I hear this song. LeBron is going to Akron, the less fortunate, the dysfunctional. He's taking his talents there. We always write songs about this. Country songs, hip-hop songs, classic songs, blues, jazz. Oh, my God, coming home. Man, I'm almost going to cry right now on the set. P. Diddy even made a remake of that Skylar Grey song. I kind of like P. Diddy's. But here's the funny thing. LeBron, they wrote that song about LeBron too, right? We played that song when LeBron came home. But LeBron is the only person in America that we've ever written that song about, which is a great savior, a great prodigy comes home. But the difference is right in the middle of that song, we changed to this song by Janet Jackson.
What have you done for me lately?
What have you done for me lately? That's all you got, LeBron? What, I only get 7 trips to the finals? I only get 4? You only scored 42 last night? I only got 41 minutes of excellent, not 42? You only had 2 buzzer beaters so far in the playoffs? You ever notice that? Generally speaking, LeBron went to the most dysfunctional sports city in America to save them. Remember the song we played?
I'm coming home.
He went to save them. Generally, that gives you a built-in cushion. I'm coming home, man. I'm here to raise the city and the town and the people and the commerce and the economy. Kevin Durant, meanwhile, joined a championship roster. But yet, last night, LeBron shoots 50%, 26 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. Here's what I heard.
What have you done for me lately?
That's all I get? That's all I get? What have you done for me lately? I mean, you went 1 for 6 on threes. Wait a minute, time out. We're forgetting the coming home part. Because Kevin Durant, by the way, on his bad night, shot only 38%, had only 3 assists. At home, with Hall of Famers. Crickets. LeBron's the only American who, when he goes home, we also demand that he gives us more and more and more and more. Let me show you kind of what's happening in the playoffs. Here's LeBron's supporting staff. Then there's Kevin Durant's. You may notice he's got 3 Hall of Famers. When you send the coming home song in for LeBron, and we all cried and we all loved it, and we all knew when he was going home, free agents don't want to play there. It's not the best owner, not the best GM, not the most glamorous city. It's Cleveland. Bad weather, football team's a joke, baseball teams never won a World Series since like the 1800s. Franchise without LeBron's garbage. If they had a hockey team, they once did. They left town, they were so bad. So we all love the coming home stuff. But yet last night, LeBron, who looked a little tired, gosh, I don't know, from carrying the city, this is once again what I heard.
What have you done for me lately?
Don't get it. Do not get it. Only American. We cried over a couple years ago, and we want more and more and more and more and more. You ever think, folks, he doesn't have anything left? It's his 8th straight final run. He's a little fatigued. He's a little fatigued. He needs a nap, maybe. I don't know. All right, coming up next, I was actually shocked by this opinion because I think tonight is the single most interesting night in the NBA all season. And for all but one city, it could be an incredibly wonderful thing. And that's coming up. Shop Lowe's for Memorial Day savings, 40% off appliance special values, 35% off best brands in the business. Offer valid through 6/6. See store for details. U.S. only for Lowe's. Good to have you in. So, like tonight, let's be honest about dynasties. They're great for TV ratings because they're villains, right? One city loves them. Everybody else hates them. So the Golden State Warriors are great. Dynasties are great. New England Patriots are great for the NFL. Okay, they are. Duke basketball, Yankees, they're great. There seems like an unfair advantage. They're cheating. There's too much money. Kevin Durant, I mean, we always blame something. For the Yankees, they got too much money. And this dynasty, well, I mean, Kevin Durant already joined a great team. And in the NFL, Patriots are a bunch of cheaters. Yeah, that's just jealousy. Like we watch dynasties because we watch them to be great or we watch them mostly to lose. And I've always had a theory on dynasties. They always end in the NBA sooner than we think. The big three in Boston, 1 title. Shaq and Kobe could have won 10. 3, sayonara. Miami, Wade and LeBron, 4 years. Forget 4 titles. 4 years, 2 titles out. Golden State now, biggest game of the season tonight. Golden State loses, they're losing this series. Okay? They're losing this series if they lose tonight. Now, there's 2 ways to see this series. Jason Whitlock sees it this way.
I don't think anything happened last night other than Andre Iguodala didn't play. They didn't have their Hampton Fives lineup. They were a little bit off, and they lost the game. Wake me up the next time Kevin Durant plays that bad in the fourth quarter in these playoffs.
Okay, you can make that argument, or I'm going to make my argument. It's 2-2. It's 2-2. That means Houston's already beaten you twice, and they just beat you at Oracle. And according to a story this morning, Andre Iguodala is not going to play, and Klay Thompson is questionable. On the road, lost 4 of 7. Folks, say it out loud. Game 5, on the road, good team. You're struggling to beat, and now you've got more injuries than you had in the previous game. And remember what Steve Kerr said after the last loss. Remember what Steve Kerr said right here.
You know, we made that great push in the third, but we weren't really able to make many subs. We were going well, so we didn't want to disrupt our rhythms. But I felt like in the fourth quarter, you know, we just ran out of gas. We scored 12 points. Tried to buy a little bit of rest for our guys, but yeah, they just outplayed us in the fourth, and they earned it.
Okay, we were out of gas. Do you consider one day off and flying to Houston a spa, a vacation? One day off and flying to Houston, where they landed and got off the plane and went to shoot around. And now they've got another injury with Klay Thompson. Injuries and egos end dynasties. Klay Thompson hurt. Iguodala hurt. Steph Curry not 100%. For the first time since Kevin Durant came to this franchise, this is a legitimate crisis where a multi-starred team at home, this is not game 1 or 2. Whoever wins game 5 in a series, go look at the numbers, usually wins the series. Here we go. Game 5 on road. Team you've lost 4 of 7 to. They've already beat you at Oracle. You've got multiple injuries. You were gassed. You got 1 day off and had to get in a plane. Shoot around right off the plane. Golden State loses tonight. Good luck winning this series. This is a real crisis we have in the NBA tonight. When Kevin Durant went over there, and this is generally the way it works, first couple of years, The star joins the team, LeBron and Wade. It looks really easy. It's going to last forever. Boston's big three, first year, one title. LeBron Wade, second year, one title. Set a record. Most straight wins. And all of a sudden, Kevin Durant, 16-1 in the playoffs. Sweep everybody. Look easy. Injuries piling up. Doubt against a really good team. Biggest game in the NBA season tonight. Veteran newsman John Goulet.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
Colin, yesterday we spoke about Ezekiel Elliott's ranking in the top 100 players that the NFL Network puts out. Now, going into last season, he was the 7th ranked player, but he was suspended 6 games, so he was ranked 54th on that list. Zeke made it clear, though, when asked about it yesterday, he's still the same guy, and everybody knows it.
I mean, it is what it is. I missed 6 games, so, you know.
Any motivation?
I mean, I know the player I am. You guys know the player I am. Everyone in the league knows the player I am. So, I mean, I don't really need verification from a top 100 list.
Will that number be a little different this time next year?
It should be.
By the way, we know the player you are. We also know the guy you are, which is immature, which is why you were out 6 games last year. I've never doubted the player. I doubt the guy.
Yeah, a mature response to it. He could have gotten all upset about it. I think it's motivation for him. But, I mean, how important is he really going to be, though?
Well, listen, Dallas is running the ball 8% of the time. It leads the NFL. Dallas wants to run the football. Todd Gurley is the second best running back in this league, and the Rams, great tight ends, great wide receivers, good O-line, good accurate quarterback, really, really aggressive head coach. They just added Brandon Cooks. So Ezekiel is going to get more carries and more opportunities. The entire kind of belief system for the Cowboys is run the football. The belief system for the Rams is let's keep people guessing. They just added a vertical wide receiver after letting go of Sammy Watkins. The Rams want to constantly pressure you. The Cowboys want to grind you down. So those two different belief systems, Ezekiel's going to have the most yards in the league this year if he's healthy.
He was 10th last year, and he only played in 10 games, and he did lead the league in yards per game.
Yeah, he missed 40% of the season and still had huge numbers.
Moving on, we're into OTAs in the NFL, and Andrew Luck has been at OTAs for the Colts. He's been working out and practicing, but he hasn't thrown a football. I'm not sure what a quarterback practices without throwing a football. His handoffs are going to be just especially crisp this year. But still, his head coach, Frank Reich, says he is not worried about it.
No, I'm not worried at all. You know, right now we're just continuing to stay in the same mode. You can't cut things short. There's no reason to cut things short. It's a day-by-day process and evaluation and just staying trusting in that. Yeah, I'm completely comfortable with him throwing when he's ready, when the doctors say he's ready. You know, I've been around a long enough time, especially as, you know, he's been around the league a little bit. He's totally engaged in every aspect of what we're doing mentally. The physical part for a guy like him, I think, comes, you know, you got to work at it, but I'm not worried about that. I'm comfortable with the process that's in place.
By the way, there's 2 teams in the NFL that have a chance to double their win totals. As much as I like San Francisco, they had 5 wins. I'm not sure if they can get to 10 in the NFC. I think they can get to 8 or 9. How many games last year did the Colts win? Are people nuts on this? It's the safest over-under bet in the NFL. Vegas has them at like 6 wins.
The other side to that would be their quarterback hasn't thrown a football in 18 months and still is not capable of that.
But like riding a bike, you don't forget how to throw a football.
No. I mean, at what point are you going to be worried that he is not healthy?
Well, by October, if he hasn't thrown a football, I'm out on Andrew Luck. But, I mean, we see Carson Wentz's injury, but guys bounce back. I saw a picture of Andrew Luck last week. He is ripped. He's bigger and stronger than ever. You don't forget how to throw it. And this roster in Indianapolis now is absolutely better than the last full healthy season he had when he was 11-5. This is and I don't think the AFC's any better. I think the Colts roster, actually their offensive line right now is okay.
Yeah.
It's middle of the pack and getting better. It's not a terrible offensive line anymore with their draft.
4-12 last year, by the way. And finally,
4-12. Yes, they're going to go 8 or 9 wins. Absolutely.
According to reports, Aaron Rodgers' next contract, he could be receiving up to $110 million in guaranteed money.
Yeah.
Right now, Matt Ryan is the highest paid quarterback at $30 million a year. Rodgers, clearly better than Matt Ryan, will exceed that.
Yeah.
remember, Kirk Cousins got a 3-year, $84 million guaranteed contract. I would argue, obviously, Rodgers is the one of anyone deserves the biggest contract ever. It's him. But considering what Tom Brady does to help his team, do you think Rodgers just wants the biggest deal he can get? Or do you think he's going to realize, I need some more help around me? Maybe that's not the smartest idea.
Well, listen, I will never begrudge Aaron Rodgers for taking every penny he can take. I'm sorry, we're in a league where Kirk Cousins is making 30 large. Aaron Rodgers has carried this franchise for 7 years in bad defenses. Aaron Rodgers should take every penny.
And they're the Browns without him.
Yeah, Tom Brady's had a great coach. He's had great defenses. He's had a great owner. He's had a great support system. Listen, man, Green Bay just cleaned the front office out. Indianapolis cleaned their front office out. For guys like Andrew Luck and Aaron Rodgers, they've done way more good than the people around them have, so Aaron Rodgers can make every stinking dollar he's earned. Veteran newsman John Goulet.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
You know, I was thinking about this morning about, like last night, I kept saying this. When the Cavs play, my question is always, I know LeBron's great. Tell me who you can guarantee is going to be great beyond LeBron. The Magic Johnson, I was looking at this morning. LeBron outscored the other 4 Cavs last night. The other 4 starters had 24 points. That's not a halftime stat. That's all they had. I mean, so I guess my point is Magic had Kareem and Worthy and Byron Scott and A.C. Green and Michael Jordan had Pippen and Kukoc and Rodman gave 18 boards. Here's what the Cavs starters did not name LeBron last night. Tristan Thompson had a point. George Hill 7. J.R. Smith 2. They shot 29% from the floor. And with that, via the Coward Global Satellite Network, Chris Broussard. Listen, man, I've never seen, I love Magic, I love MJ, but Kukoc was the best European. Pippen was the best Robin in the league. Rodman was the world's best rebounder. You got Worthy, you got Kareem, you got Byron Scott. I'm watching that thing last night, and I'm like, can't we defend LeBron a little on this, Chris?
I'm totally with you. This is atrocious. This is not a indictment on LeBron James in any way, shape, or form. Nobody can win with nothing. And that's what he's getting, nothing. You brought up Scottie Pippen. Jordan knew Pippen was going to give him 18 points at least every night and great defense. Magic had the best, most talented team in the league almost his entire career, almost. So LeBron James, this is the worst supporting cast he has ever had this deep in the playoffs. And yes, I'm including 2007 with Larry Hughes, Eric Snow, Zydrunas Ilgauskas, Drew Gooden, and Sasha Pavlovich. The reason why, because that 07 Cavs team, as bad as it was offensively outside of LeBron, it was a great defensive team.
Yes.
That you said, what can I count on from Cleveland? Nothing other than LeBron. In 07, you could count on LeBron and great defense. At least they had that. So this is bad. And ultimately, look, I've been a defender of Kevin Love. I have said he's been trashed unnecessarily, unfairly during his tenure in Cleveland. As a third option, he was as good as it got in the NBA in most cases. Okay? But now he is not delivering. J.R. Smith, Kyle Korver, Rodney Hood, they are what they are. Kevin Love's a perennial all-star. Kevin Love put up Moses Malone-type numbers in Minnesota. Some people think Kevin Love will one day be in the Hall of Fame. I disagree with that. But Kevin Love's got to be better than 39% shooting.
Yes.
You're 6'10". Why are you shooting 39%? And only giving me 15 points. I need 18 at least every night. He's not giving it to me. This is an indictment on Kevin Love.
By the way, I'm putting on the screen right now, let's take the great Jordan team in 1996. Pippen was giving you 16 points and 8 boards. Coach was giving you 13. Longley giving you 12. And Rodman was giving you, on average, 15 rebounds. And you had the best coach in basketball, Phil Jackson. Magic had Kareem, Worthy, Byron Scott, and a very solid player in A.C. Green. I start looking at this stuff. I do wonder. Yeah, here's the Lakers. I'll put this up on the screen. Michael Thompson, by the way, a 56% shooter. Byron Scott, Michael Cooper, an elite defensive player. Look at the shooting percentages of those Laker players that Kareem shot 51%, Worthy 52, Cooper 54, Byron Scott 48, Michael Thompson 56. It's just a mess. And that's why I wonder, Chris, I'm going to throw this at you, is that, listen, the way it works 20 years from now, we'll remember a LeBron Finals loss. We're not going to talk about an Eastern Conference loss. We don't talk about Michael Jordan going 1-9 in the playoffs series before Pippen. This Cleveland team would get absolutely rolled by Golden State. Couldn't I make the argument? You're better off not even getting into a series against Houston and Golden State and getting swept.
Well, I hope LeBron isn't watching this because I don't want that thought floating around in his mind. Like, you know what? It's better if I lose this series and he doesn't give it his all. But I'll say this. If Houston beats Golden State, they certainly should and would be favored over Cleveland. But I would give Cleveland a shot just because, it's Houston's first time there. They probably might have a mental letdown just because getting by Golden State would be such an accomplishment that they might have a little bit of a letdown in the finals, and they hadn't been there before. So I'd give Cleveland a shot in that one. But overall, your point is well taken. Now, it's sad because it should be the further you get, the better.
Right.
But you're absolutely right. Looking back, we will only say LeBron was 3-6 in the finals. Or 3-5. So it is better historically if he loses this round than the last one. Let me crystallize it for you in the audience. If Michael Jordan, when he came back from baseball in 95 and played 17 games, wasn't, in good shape and all that, they got beat by the Orlando Magic in, I don't remember if it was the second round.
Yeah.
I think it was the second round.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay. Yeah. If he had gotten to the finals, if they had beaten Orlando and he gets to the finals and they lose to Houston, that would have been worse for Michael Jordan than to be 6-0 in the finals. There is this grand mystique around Jordan now because he was undefeated in the finals. We don't even think about Orlando. I don't even count that. That doesn't even matter to me.
That's right.
Okay? He was 6-0 in the finals, which is much better than 6-1 in the finals. If he was 6-1, this undefeated, he could never be beaten mystique wouldn't exist.
By the way, when you mention that, I guarantee you 90% of our audience thought Jordan won 3 championships, played baseball, came back, and won the next 3. To your point, he didn't. He got bounced when he came back. Nobody remembers it, and that's the point. Let me ask you this, though. I think tonight, Whitlock said yesterday, he said, I don't think that game for Golden State didn't mean anything. Iguodala's hurt. Kevin Durant was awful. And I'm looking at this tonight, and I'll tell you something, Chris. I've said this for years. Dynasties end earlier than we think, and they end because of egos and injuries. If Golden State, who could be out, Andre Iguodala out, Klay Thompson hurt, Steph hurt. If Golden State loses tonight, can you imagine if they lose this series, the second guessing on Steve Kerr's coaching, Durant's heart, Steph's future with injuries, Andre Iguodala's contract? I think this is I think it's the biggest game of the NBA season tonight. What are your thoughts on tonight's game?
I think that's a great point. I think the most of the pressure is on Houston because Nick Wright talked about this on First Things First. All year they've wanted to make this thing a best 2 out of 3 with home court advantage. To get to Golden State and make it first to win 2 out of 3 and have home court advantage. They have that now. If they lose tonight that quickly and they lose home court advantage, I think it'll be a devastating blow to them, and I think Golden State will close them out in Oakland in Game 6. That said, I think your point is terrific, and yes, Steph would be second-guess Steve Kerr, but you know who would get it most?
Who?
Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Because when Kevin Durant came to this team, they were a well-oiled machine. Now, I know they had lost the championship, But most of us believe they were better than Cleveland. And if Draymond Green wasn't suspended, they would have won that series. So a lot of people would blame Durant, especially with the ISO basketball that they're playing, with the one-on-one basketball that they're playing, and getting away from all that motion and ball movement and free-flowing play that made them special. So this is big for Kevin Durant. Remember, when he was in Oklahoma City, as great as he was, everybody felt like he can't deliver. He can't deliver in the clutch. They had Golden State 3-1, and he didn't play well in 6 and 7. So this would just be another bit of evidence for those that believe that about Kevin Durant's inability to deliver. So this is huge for him because I think he would bear the crux of the blame, rightly or wrongly. He would bear it if they lose.
Chris Broussard, Coward Global Glass Satellite Network. Good seeing you, bud. Appreciate you stopping by.
All right, man.
Two stories I got to get to. Number one, I had an NFL scout tell me something 24 hours ago. It is happening, and it is happening fast in the NFL. And for one franchise, it is incredibly exciting. And why all the blowouts in the NBA? I think it's completely explainable. And it's not just the three-ball shot. It is something about the players. Why all the blowouts? Why are games over in the first quarter? I think it's something we've seen in music. I think it's something we see all over certain parts of America. That's coming up next. Welcome back. A lot of blowouts in the NBA. So I'm on the phone yesterday with somebody I deeply respect that covers the NBA, knows the NBA, has a lot of sources in the NBA. And all these NBA general managers and all these NBA coaches, and I'm talking the Quinn Snyders, and I'm talking the Mike D'Antonis, and I'm talking the Steve Kerrs, and I'm talking about the Brad Stevens, and I'm talking about the Ty Lue. There's a big discussion in the NBA right now going on among executives and coaches. Why are these games all blowouts? Early, first quarter. Look at the Boston-Cleveland series. Young Boston, veteran Cleveland. Why? They should be different teams, different personalities. 4 of the 5 games have been decided in the first quarter. Blowouts. Game's over. Now, we know 3-point shots create bigger margins and the ability to close margins quicker. But generally in the NBA, what we're seeing in these playoffs, if you get a bad first quarter, you are done. And we've been seeing this now for a month. Why? We also saw it all during the season. Warriors lost by 40. Warriors lost by 30. Warriors lost by 20. Multiple times. Why? This is what wealth does. 2 years ago, new CBA. Marginal players are played like superstars in the 90s. Everybody's wealthy. This is why trust fund kids generally don't work as hard as a middle-class kid. You see it in music all the time. The Starving Artist, the hip-hop album, writes about the struggle. I mean, that stuff's all-time stuff. Buy his 14th car and 9th house, the music's not as good. He gets too comfortable. You see it with comedians all the time. Comedians get less funny with every house they own. It's not as funny to be talking about the Hamptons. It's not. It's funnier to talk about a small house. You have 6 brothers and sisters and 1,100 square feet. That's hysterical. Remember Jerry Seinfeld? You remember Jerry Seinfeld? He used to tell jokes. Those jokes are funny when he's talking about stuff we can relate to. Tide, what's the deal with Tide's commercials? They say they get bloodstains out. Who's got bloodstains on their shirts? Forget the detergent. What's the deal? That's funnier than Jerry Seinfeld, who now has a net worth of $600 million doing this joke. What's the deal with private jet fuel? It's so expensive. What's the deal with my financial portfolio only giving me a 9% annual return? That's not as funny. Comedians get less funny the richer they get. Artists, musicians. When's the last time you two had a big hit? Mick Jagger wrote a #1 song. The players have so much money now that when they get down, basketball's always been a game of runs. It's always been a game of runs. Big first quarter, big second, third, fourth. Used to have 4 and 5 runs. Teams now quit after one run. Down 28-12, over, done, shot, game over. That's what wealth does. It's what complacency is created from. It's why middle-class kids work harder than trust fund kids. There's desperation. That's why Houston was so great the other night. They were desperate. But you shouldn't have to be desperate to have fight in you. Michael never quit. Michael Jordan never quit. Kobe never quit. Kevin Garnett never quit. Isaiah Thomas never quit. Karl Malone never quit. They never quit. In fact, back in the old days, down by 12, oh, you're trying to humiliate us? We're going to war. We're knocking you on your arse. We're fighting. This is what wealth does. Last night, Cleveland was shot 8 minutes in, game over. Did you sense any urgency last night with the Cavaliers? Basketball's always been a sport of runs, but now the games are decided by one run early. In fact, here's a stat that's kind of discouraging. Do you know the fourth quarter field goal percentage in the playoffs this year is the highest in 15 years? Because nobody's playing defense if they're down by 9 in the fourth. As Marvin Hagler once eloquently said, it is hard to get up for a 5 o'clock a.m. run when you're sleeping on silk sheets. This NFL story, Steve Wilks, new coach, Arizona Cardinals, said Josh Rosen starting this year in September is not a long shot. Okay, 2 days ago, an NFL scout who's well-connected told me he is blowing people away. Never forget he was the fourth quarterback taken. Never forget that every single NFL analyst, including our Greg Cosell, acknowledged he was the most ready to play now, he was the most refined, the best pure pocket passer easily, and probably the smartest. But he got drafted fourth because we didn't like his words. We didn't like his words. He wasn't incendiary. He wasn't mean. He wasn't stupid. He didn't scream at people. But we just didn't like his words. And I asked him about that. He was on our show about a month ago. I said, what is it with you and your words? And they tend to tick people off more and scare people more than Baker Mayfield's police video with the cops. What is it?
It's kind of, everyone talks about this millennial generation. I think we're just kind of, people are realizing who we are. I think you can't point to Aaron Rodgers or Peyton Manning being activists on Twitter because they're just of a different generation. But you can point to a J.J. Watt. You can point to a Chris Long as doing great things in the community. And the media constantly gets mad at Bill Belichick and all these guys, and even my school's new coach, Chip Kelly, for giving 1-2 word responses, and they're getting mad at him like, give us more. And then I give you guys more, and then you guys lose your minds over it. So, like, pick which one you want.
It's amazing to me. Most refined, best pocket passer, smartest. Words, though. Not a police video for the other guy. Words scared. By the way, the Philadelphia Eagles, they got guys who talk. Chris Long, Malcolm Jenkins, Michael Bennett, political with words. Lance Johnson, outspoken, controversial with words. Alshon Jeffrey, guarantee, cocky with words. And they're Super Bowl champs. We had no problem, apparently, with a police video and a quarterback running from cops. But the word thing with Josh Rosen freaked us all out. By the way, in one instance, it wasn't even words. Remember the Cleveland executive who was quoted saying, so I was in the airport and I saw Josh Rosen. And I went up to one of the volleyball coaches at UCLA and I said, what's Rosen like? And he said, hey, probably ask his girlfriend. She's one of the players right over there. I'm like, all right, coach, that's good enough. So you judged him without him even talking to you? This sounds like resentment for a kid with a successful family. It sounds like fear from coaches who may get a little pushback. Josh Rosen dropped to the 4th spot. Reportedly, my sources and Steve Wilks, looks like a day one starter. Eagles talk a lot too, and they're Super Bowl champs. It's the Herd. This is the Herd. Wherever you may be and however you may be listening. Live in Los Angeles, iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, FS1. Herd sponsored by Firestone Complete Auto Care. Keep your car running newer, longer. So, I've always been a sucker for lists. And there's I'm not a big fan of social media. I mean, I'm on it. I have an Instagram. I had a Twitter. If I wasn't in this business, I wouldn't be on it. I'm not going to stare at my phone all day and take pictures of myself. I'm not into it. But I understand for my business, I use it. But I still think it's wildly overvalued, completely overvalued. So ESPN came out yesterday, and I'm not picking on ESPN because they do good lists. The NFL Network, I talk about all networks lists. If we have it, the NFL Network, ESPN. We don't do a lot of these lists. I like them personally. I think they're fun. You can engage. You can play along. They had a World Fame 100. These are the most famous athletes in the world. And here was their criteria. Google search. If you Googled them a lot. Yesterday, you know what I Googled? 2 hyenas in a zoo screaming at each other. Doesn't make them great. Google search. Do you know how much crap I Google search? I Google search stuff I don't know. I don't need to Google search Kevin Durant. The second thing is endorsement dollars. Yeah, John Daly had a lot of endorsement dollars. Tom Kite didn't. You know who gets a lot of endorsements? Goofballs. Show-offs. The third thing, the criteria for fame was social media followers. Okay. You do get that Kim Kardashian has 74 times as many as Barack Obama. Okay. All right. DJs have more followers than like governors, Nobel Prize winners. Okay. So that's ESPN's criteria. Do they get Googled a lot? Don't really need to Google Steph Curry. Hey, do they have cheesy pizza ads? And do they got a bunch of people following them on Twitter? So here's ESPN's top 10. Not bad. Don't agree with all of them, certainly, but here's their top 10. That's Let's move down the list and go to the 30s if we could. This is the top 10 I didn't have a problem with at all, but let's go to the 30s. And what the hell is that? Derrick Rose, 36. Tom Brady, 38. Yeah. On any list ever that Derrick Rose is ahead of Tom Brady, other than a top 100 most disappointing athletes, I'm going to have a problem. I get other countries were involved in this. Maybe Derrick Rose is huge in Yemen. He may be there. I haven't seen him in months. ESPN's criteria, once again, Derrick Rose did very well on Google. I'm sure Derrick Rose was Googled all the time. His family was Googling him. Where is he? We haven't seen him. NBA general managers were Googling, does he still play basketball? He's like Bigfoot. I haven't seen him since Minnesota in 2013. Or Chicago, excuse me. Endorsements. Again, I'm not even sure what that means. There's hacks that get good endorsements. You can win a game show and get an endorsement. Great golfers don't get one. Great NFL players don't. How many endorsements did Calvin Johnson have? Quiet, dignified, refined. Larry Fitzgerald, how many endorsements? Calvin Johnson, Andre Johnson, how many endorsements? John Daly was out there in Technicolor pants, smoking cigs on the 12th hole, had endorsements. Good hell. So here's my criteria for fame. God, Tom Brady's not even on Twitter, by the way. You get that? Yeah, Tom Brady's followers, he's got 100 million of them every Super Bowl Sunday.
I didn't get a chance to see him play. I was too busy winning.
Yeah, winning. Here's my criteria. Winning. I like famous people who get famous by winning. I don't care about endorsements. I care about peer endorsements, teammate endorsements, coaching endorsements, teammate endorsements. What do people that have to work with you or face you say? And the third thing is, I don't know, television followers, since people actually watch that. That's where all the games are. Tonight, I'm watching on television the Warriors and Rockets. I'm not watching it on Twitter. I'm not watching LeBron last night on Instagram. I'm actually watching him on television. Right now, I'm on television. So winning teammate endorsements, how are you viewed by those you play with or against and television followers? And by the way, you don't have to Google any of mine. But you have been following them on television for years. Number one, Tom Brady, 18 years, not close, played in 8 Super Bowls, the most watched television event in America. It's not close. Teammates. Randy Moss, there briefly, says, best teammate I've ever had. People that leave Tom Brady universally love him, adore him, worship him, respect him. Find the last teammate that badmouthed Tom Brady. There aren't any ever. Number 2 is LeBron James. He wins a lot. By the way, makes teammates better. And the most watched NBA player for the last decade. No, he is, right? You know that. Nobody's watched him more on television. People thought the NBA, when Michael Jordan left, died. It did, about 6 years. Then he had the Shaq Kobe thing. It came back. It's the highest rated it's ever been now. Do you know that? Number 3 is Tiger Woods. I didn't say people on this list had to be flawless. I didn't say that. Tiger Woods is the only athlete in my life that he leaves the sport and it dries up. Tournaments have been postponed in Colorado. The Masters dips when he's not in it. The last 2 recent tournaments he played on Sunday went up over 100%. Golf Channel, Masters, endorsements, golf companies, Nike Golf, Dick's Sporting Goods gets out of golf. Number 4 is Steph. All you need to know about Steph is he's the most relatable player, I think, maybe in NBA history. My son's not a huge basketball fan, although he's got a nice left-handed jumper. We went to a Dick's Sporting Goods one time. I said, whose shoes do you want? He goes, those. I'm like, they're kind of ugly. He goes, well, they're Steph Curry's. Because of his size, he looks little on TV, although if he stood next to you or I, he would be big. But Steph Curry, compared to the Giants in the NBA, is unbelievably relatable. He also wins. He also has the endorsement of Kevin Durant, who he recruited. And after LeBron, he is now the most watched NBA player for 5 years. Number 5 and 6, let's just go Ronaldo and Messi. I'm not going to say who's better. They're both amazing. I would choose Ronaldo at 5 and Messi at 6 just because Ronaldo looks like a model. And that matters. It does. Again, my third criteria isn't a Google search or a Twitter following. It's television. Good-looking people succeed on television. Number 7 is Aaron Rodgers. Listen, outside of the Dallas Cowboys, you can make an argument the biggest brand in football and the highest-rated Super Bowls are when the Green Bay Packers play. Aaron Rodgers is a good-looking dude who wins a lot. Most teammates like him. He's got a ton of television followers, and he's the most talked-about player in this league outside of Tom Brady in the offseason. Aaron Rodgers has got to be in your top 10. What is the biggest sport in America? They even like the NFL in Europe now. London's got a big following, Aaron Rodgers. Number 8, Serena Williams. She is women's tennis. Look at the numbers. Wins. People love her. Television followers. I mean, outside of Tiger, is there anybody for an individual sport that elevates a number more than Serena Williams? I'll go back to something I said not long ago. She won a Grand Slam pregnant. None of the guys on the list can claim that. Okay? She is the greatest female athlete of my life. And I'd be honest with you, I'm not sure who's second. She is won by a mile. Number 9's Floyd Mayweather. Again, I didn't say I have to like him. He spent time in jail. Not a good guy. Multiple claims, allegations, and again, was behind bars. But look at the pay-per-view numbers. Do you know on average the UFC, they'll get 3 or 4, 500,000 people for a pay-per-view buy? You know what they got for the Mayweather fight? Listen, man, when you can not only be the most interesting person in your sport, but can then cross over and win and create that kind of following in your rival's sport. Tom Brady's not going to the NBA and driving up the numbers. It's not like Tiger Woods is going to lacrosse and driving up the numbers. It's not like Roman Reigns is going into boxing and driving up the numbers. John Cena. Mayweather went to UFC, and they had their biggest card ever. And number 10, probably the most elegant, refined, beloved athlete globally ever. Is there anybody that doesn't love Roger Federer? The greatest winning tennis player, the most respected, and he is, again, the most viewed non-team athlete globally. If you count the world, television ratings, Roger Federer is probably the most viewed athlete because they're not watching a ton of Tiger Woods in Portugal. They're watching Roger Federer in the world. There you go. NFL came out with an anthem policy. Got some thoughts on that. Golden State tonight, I think, could be in big trouble. Got some thoughts on that. All of it coming up. Yesterday, the NFL has a new anthem policy. I don't have to like it. Some do, some don't, but it's a policy. Businesses have to have policies. That's why they have a national anthem policy. We know the media is not going to like this, but America no longer trusts the media. The media told us Donald Trump would win 4 states. He won 38. Newspapers have been dead for 10 years, magazines for 5, and websites now are dying fast. I know I own one. People no longer trust the media. I'm not interested in the media's opinion, of which I'm part of it. The NFL set a policy. I don't have to agree with it. I don't have to. The NFL has a policy on how high you can wear your socks. Look it up. They've got a concussion policy. I used to work at ESPN. They had a lot of their policies written on the wall. Here at Fox, we don't. They give you a manual. Leagues need policies. I don't have to agree with them. Listen, the NFL's got about 5 or 6 things right now heading into this season that are awesome. You get Aaron Rodgers back. You get Carson Wentz back. You get Andrew Luck back. You get Deshaun Watson back. Those guys are great. Big markets now. Atlanta, Dallas, Philadelphia, Boston, San Francisco, Rams, Atlanta are really good. They solved the catch rule. They figured it out. Sports gambling's now legal, and we bet football. And you had an incredible quarterback draft. 5 new guys, could be stars, we'll see. Not to mention, at the end of last year, the last 11 games, counting the Super Bowl, 9 were one-possession games, 2 blowouts. But you got this anthem policy. It's a policy. I don't have to agree with it. I don't have to love it. I got a pamphlet at Fox full of company rules. Can't do this, can't do that. I got a policy when I was at ESPN. Can't do this, can't do that. But companies have to have policies. And I know which way the media is going to fall on this policy, but I don't give a rip. They told us Trump was going to win 4 states. There's a reason there is a massive decline in the trust of the media. Biases, agenda, anti-this, pro-that. This was just a day for the NFL to introduce a policy, which every business owner watching or listening knows they hand out pamphlets. They changed their catch policy. They've got the same how high can you wear your socks policy. They've changed their concussion protocol 4 times in 9 years. It was a day of policy. Some like, some don't like, but you got to have them. Veteran newsman John Goulet.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
Colin, Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals is tonight in Houston. The Rockets won Game 4 after a kind of tough final sequence for the Warriors. When asked how the team is doing, Draymond Green didn't mince words per usual. Here's what Draymond said on the team's mindset.
Kind of pissed off. We know we let one slip away. So definitely guys are pissed off, but encouraged as well. I love the way this team responds when our back is against the wall. I don't mind our backs being against the wall because I know, what we're capable of, and I know the level of focus and intensity level that this team's bring when that is the case.
I think tonight's the biggest game in the NBA. I'm really fired up for it. By the way, they said they gave a game away. It should be noted, it's not when you score 12 points in the fourth quarter, it'd be one thing if you scored 32 and lost. When you score 12 points, you're not giving it away. You had it taken from you. There's a big difference.
Yeah. Whenever the Warriors have had a must-win game, they've generally always win it, basically.
And comfortably.
Right. The games they've lost, they could afford to lose. I don't know if this classifies as that. With Game 6 at home, maybe you don't feel like this is an absolute must-have, but it feels to me that, I think you said it before, whoever wins tonight, you like to win the series.
Yeah, listen, Houston leads 3-2 and gets to come back home. I think Golden State's the better team, but Andre Iguodala's been out. That's not an excuse. It's a reason. Klay Thompson's not hurt, or is now hurt. That's not an excuse. It's a reason. If James Harden was hurt, who would you like tonight? I got Andre Iguodala hurt, may not play. I got Klay Thompson hurt, may not play. And I got Steph Curry not at 100%. There's a big difference between excuses and reasons. Those are reasons why you lose. If Clint Capella and Chris Paul were hurt tonight, I would love Golden State to roll.
Well, thank you for the transition on that one, because we'll stick with the Warriors and talk about those injuries. Andre Iguodala missed Game 4. Klay injured his knee during the game. He went to the locker room. He played, but he didn't look the same after he injured himself.
Yeah.
Steve Kerr was asked about the status of both Iguodala and Klay. Here's what he said.
Yeah, he's feeling a little better today, and he's out on the floor, not doing a whole lot, but making progress.
Andre with that one?
Andre.
How about with Klay?
Clay's moving around really well. I think Clay's going to be fine.
Well, that's good news.
Yeah.
And by the way, Klay was awful, so he won't be awful in this game. That's the way it works in sports. When a guy's awful, he goes home, he's ticked off, he works harder, and he plays well the next game.
Yeah, and there was a tweet I saw from somebody in the NBA saying that at shoot-around right now, Iguodala is not even wearing really anything on his knee, not like a brace or anything. So they didn't when Iguodala's not there and they have to play some of the lesser-known guys like a Kevon Looney. That's fine on the defensive end. Offensively, though, he's not only not a threat, but they don't. Every time they throw the ball to him, they seem uncomfortable. It really does. There's not a lot of depth when you have a superstar-driven team like that.
Yeah.
And finally, the Cowboys lost two of their most outspoken players this offseason, Des Bryant and Witten. Des, obviously, more of the outspoken headache type of problem, but outspoken nonetheless. And obviously, Witten had been there for so long, kind of the heart and soul of the team. So Dak Prescott was asked about losing both of them and their effective leadership styles and his own leadership style. Here's what he said.
We can't come in and say we need you to be the leader Des was. We need you to be the leader Witt was. We have a lot of guys and a lot of guys that have been in this league that lead, and sometimes they lead by example, by going out there and just not saying a word and just giving all their energy, and then it pays off and it shows. And so young guys can look at it. That's the way you practice. That's the way you come in, you handle your business, and sometimes you don't have to say anything to do it. And we have those guys, and then we have the rah-rah guys, the guys that are screaming, the guys that are getting everybody going, making sure the energy's there.
Yeah, Dak is not a rah-rah guy. He's a fairly quiet guy. It's one of the things you like about him. He always says the right thing, but he's not a motivator type, Tom Brady type.
I don't think everybody is a motivator. I don't need my quarterbacks to be rah-rah guys. I don't think Russell Wilson's a rah-rah guy, and I don't think Andrew Luck's a rah-rah guy. Rah-rah's overrated. Process, work, come hard, talk. I don't want you to be nonverbal. But I'm not a big pom-pom guy.
What was more disappointing for you there? What he said, or the fact that during that clip, his hat was on backwards?
I hated that. I hate guys that wear their hat on backwards.
Even in a locker room in the offseason?
Hate it. Do not like it. It's my least favorite thing. I'm sorry, but the kind of guy when you walk into a room, got his hat on backwards? Go to a steakhouse, see that guy? I was in traffic yesterday.
He's in a locker room, not Morton's.
It doesn't matter. My quarterback is always my knock on Tony Romo. The minute Tony Romo turned it around, he went 13-3. Matt Stafford, hat on backwards. I never see Drew Brees, hat on backwards. Guy's going to the Hall of Fame. Yeah, last 6-7 years, how many times in an NFL environment you seen Tom Brady with his hat on backwards? Don't like it. Not a fan of it. Sends a message. I'm a goofball. Veteran newsman John Goulet.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Line
I was
News.
driving in traffic yesterday in Los Angeles. Looked over. Guy's wearing his hat on backwards. The first thing I'm thinking is, never hiring that guy. Not hiring that guy's a goofball. Guy could have been a CEO of LAX. I'm like, no, canceled him. Wrote him off. Okay, our next guest has coached under Bill Belichick and under Bill Parcells and under Jim Harbaugh. Let's bring in Eric Mangini on a Thursday. You got all sorts of stuff today. By the way, you're not as judgmental as me on the hat on backwards thing.
Well, it's a new draft criteria. We can put that on the.
I don't like it.
Has he ever worn his hat on backwards? If so,
I don't like it. I did it once about 4 years ago. I was cleaning out my garage in West Hartford, Connecticut, and I had to go up on the shelves, and there was all these things on the shelves, and it was dust everywhere, and my hat was knocking stuff off the shelf. So I turned it around, and I was guilty for 10 minutes. I'm a goofball doing this. It bothers me.
Yeah, I think if you could simplify it that much for drafting or evaluating play, It'd be perfect.
It would. But for the record, you liked Josh Rosen.
I did.
Okay, Josh, I had a scout tell me 2 days ago, and this guy is well connected. He said, Colin, they love him in Arizona. So tell me why you liked him. And the word is this morning in Arizona, he is probably going to either start or be good enough to start. Why did you like him?
Well, when I watch him, you hear people say he can make every throw. He can make all the throws, and he gives wide receivers a chance to catch and run. There were a lot of the quarterbacks that you watch where they make the throw, but the guy's got to work for the ball. Josh didn't have that. He had nice touch. He had nice placement. He gave guys chances to be successful with the ball after the fact. It looked like he truly understood what the coverages were that he was looking at. He had command of the offense. I liked all those things about him, and I know the criticism on him at times was he's too smart. But that's a high class problem, especially if you're dealing with a quarterback. I want my quarterback to be really smart.
Who was your smartest quarterback? Chad Pennington?
Chad Pennington Chad was incredibly smart. I mean, being with Tom Brady, he was pretty smart too.
The two smartest quarterback you've ever had are Tom Brady and Chad Pennington. By the way, Herm Edwards told me Chad Pennington, he thought could be a head coach, was the smartest player he ever had.
Yeah, Chad would combine his intelligence with a tremendous work ethic. He was not going to leave the building until he understood everything that he needed to understand. And with both Tom and Chad, there's also levels of learning. They were gonna see not just what they had to do and what the defense had to do, but they were going to understand how it fit into the situation of the game, and then they were going to understand the human beings that they were working at. There were levels. Look, Brett Favre was underrated in that area too. I thought he was great.
So yesterday I said something on Speak for Yourself. It got a good laugh, and you were saying I said the OTA thing. Listen, Tom Brady made all these OTAs, and then all of a sudden he misses one. And you made the argument that, you put all the time in, it's good. You can miss one. And I said, if you're married for 17 years and she loves you, but in the 18th year she comes home and you're hanging out with a neighbor, she's going to forget all about the 17 good years and you're just an unloyal creep. Is that you can lose a lot of equity really fast in life. And whether you're a husband or you're a quarterback, Tom now has got the owner on his side. He's doing Instagram posts. He's going to these things. We have these bites, Sam, where he goes to California. He's like, I plead the fifth. He's taking all these shots at Belichick. You tell me this OTA thing is all good.
When you equated it to 17 years of marriage and then infidelity, it was funny. But the reality, this is more like 17 years of marriage and you forget an anniversary or you don't get flowers for Mother's Day.
Okay.
This isn't infidelity. This is a situation where Bill typically has the policy, and I imagine it's still in place, that you're either all in for the day or you're out for the day. So that means that you can't go work out at TB12 and then come in for meetings and practice. You have to work out in the building. You've got to do all the things on the schedule. So I'm sure Tom decided he wanted to work out at TB12, which means that he was out for the day. Now, you could look at it as a win for Bill because he's able to keep the policy in place that he's always had in place, which affects all the other players in the building. And really, Tom's missing out a few things, but it gives Hoyer a chance to get reps. It gives Etling a chance to get reps. It gives a lot of guys opportunities that wouldn't be there without Tom. And Tom's going to be fine. He came back from a 4-game suspension and threw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. I think if he misses 14 days in the spring, he's going to be okay.
Andrew Luck is still not throwing. I love Andrew Luck. He went 11-5, 11-5, 11-5 with no running game and a pretty iffy offensive line. Okay, he's not throwing. Should people in Indianapolis, would you be worried if you were Frank Reich, the coach?
Yeah, I'd be really. I heard Frank's press conference, and there's nothing that he can say besides what he said. I'm comfortable with where things are. But the reality is you're probably uncomfortable with where things are. This has been what other example do we have time-wise where a player's missed this much time? We're in the situation where we are now, and he's still not throwing the football. I'd want to know what happened. What took place to get us to this point? And is the medical staff still in place there, or have they transitioned to somebody new? Because what's been there isn't working. It's not working.
So you think right now it's a major issue?
Well, I think right now.
What would you demand? What would you demand if you were the head coach? What would you want to know? What answers would you demand today?
Well, I'm sure they've already demanded these answers prior to the draft because of where they were drafting. If they thought Andrew Luck couldn't come back, then I would imagine they would have gone and gotten a quarterback or someone that they felt could lead them well into the future. But the confidence at this point in saying that the evaluation that we've had in the past, which hasn't been very good, is going to be good going into the future, it's hard for me to think that that's the case.
Fair enough. So the NFL adopts a new anthem policy yesterday. Here's the thing. I don't have to love policy, but teams have to have them. When you took over the Jets or the Browns, you got a list of do's and don'ts. That's just what companies do. I don't care what the media thinks about stuff, but I do think the anthem policy is trickiest, not for players, not for owners, not for fans, not for media. I think it's trickiest for coaches because you start losing a locker room. I mean, Steelers, Raiders, Seahawks. I had Cliff Averill on, and he acknowledged that there was so much talk and so much noise and Pete's rah, rah, rah. Things went sideways. People started tuning Pete out. There was a lot of politics. Everybody in the media says politics are great. We all know politics are tough they're tough at home, they're tough at work, they're tough. What would you do as a coach with this new anthem policy? Do you like the policy? Do you not like it?
I like the policy, and I'm sure a lot of the coaches like the policy because it gives you clarity. You know that exactly what the options are. You know that the organization is going to be fine, which means the owner is going to be fine. You know that you have the right to then pass that fine on or develop your policy individually as a club, which that's going to involve the owner as well. So you can bring that to the players, and they have clarity as well. The difficulty this past year is you're trying to bring this group of very diverse people from all different backgrounds together to play in a unified way on Sunday, and then you insert something as inflammatory and
it's political.
Divisive. Yeah, it's hard to get consensus, and you want to honor and respect everybody's right to an opinion, but in doing that, sometimes you're gonna really upset another whole group of players, and we saw it over and over again. At least now, as a coach, you have a direction that you can go in, and the players have that direction as well. They may not like it, but at least everybody understands what's going to happen if they continue to
I've worked at
protest.
6 companies in my life. They've all had a book on policy. At ESPN, they put some on the wall. I don't have to like them all, but I just want to know what they are. So if I screw up, they can say, there's the policy, you screwed up. Now, I've been lucky. I haven't had to deal with suspensions. I usually, I'm an employee. They're employers. I usually follow the rules. I try to at least. But, with this policy, the media reacts how we thought they would react. They're pro-cap. But I will tell you, inside stadiums, anybody that's been inside a stadium in the last couple of years, I think fans like the policy. And ultimately, if I own a grocery store, I don't care about what the media thinks of my grocery store. I care about what my customers think of my grocery store. And inside the stadium, people don't want kneeling, whether I agree with it or not.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that as a coach, you don't want any distraction. And the last thing you want is a distraction 5 minutes before you kick off.
Good Lord.
It's
Remember the mess last year again with the Steelers and Mike Tomlin?
And he was trying to do the right thing.
Yes.
He was trying to get the group unified.
And it was the worst game they played all year.
It was the worst game they played all year. And not only was he trying to do that, but think about the time and the effort that went into getting to their policy on that day. And that was all time and effort and energy that didn't go into who they were playing, that didn't go into studying, that didn't go into preparation, and you can't get that time back.
Finally, Baker Mayfield had 3 interceptions in his OTA. I mean, to me, this is catastrophic and the world's ending. What do you make of it, really?
I don't think you can read too much into it at all. It's really hard for rookies. We want to think that these guys are going to go to a new environment, fit right in, be successful right away. But you remember when you started college. You remember when you started your first job.
Do you know what my first semester, my GPA was?
What?
I got on academic probation, 1.8.
Yeah, you're like the guys from
First
Animal
of all,
House.
I majored in cannabis. I mean, who knew? No, my first semester at Eastern Washington University, I didn't know how to study. I was a B&A student in high school. I didn't have to study. I didn't know what I was doing.
And people forget that these guys go from knowing the coaches, knowing the system, being the biggest man on campus, being completely comfortable in their environment, to a situation where they got to figure out where their locker is. They got to figure out what the weight protocol is.
They're buying houses.
They're buying houses. They're dealing with human resources. All the players are new. All the coaches are new.
Josh Rosen last week complained that he had to go to some rookie symposium. He's like, I just want to practice. No, they're like, you got to go to this rookie symposium for 4 days. He's got, I'm going to come back and get no sleep. It's like anytime you start a new job. Even when I was here, I couldn't figure my hair out. I dyed it the wrong color. Like I couldn't get anything right. You got to give people time. Eric Mangini, under Parcells, under Jim Harbaugh, under Belichick. You talk to all three, don't you, regularly?
Oh,
Not
yeah,
Belichick.
all the time.
Not Belichick.
Yeah, I talk to those guys quite a bit.
You don't talk to Belichick?
No, we haven't talked in a little bit. We're saving it.
Good seeing you. Coming up next, you got to put things in context with LeBron James. We'll try to do that next. Don't be that guy in the long, sloppy looking untucked shirt. Untuckit.com, code HERD. Untuckit.com, code HERD. 20% fall arrivals or are already out. So LeBron outscored the other four Cavs last night. I'm not joking. The other four Cavs starters had, well, here it is. You can look for yourself. These are the other four Cavs starters. They shot 29%. Kevin Love, 14, Tristan Thompson, 1, George Hill, 7, and J.R. Smith had 2 points. I just want to put this in context. Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, and LeBron are the three best players I've ever seen. I'd say they're all different. Michael, Magic, and LeBron. There is no question LeBron's had the least support. Magic Johnson had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the best center who's ever played. James Worthy, a Hall of Fame forward. Michael Cooper, at the time the best defensive player in the league. Byron Scott was a top 5 shooter, and Michael Thompson was a number 1 pick in the draft. In the 87 finals, 5 Lakers scored in double figures. That's 5. And I'm not counting Magic Johnson. That's the Lakers without Magic Johnson. They also had Pat Riley, at the time the NBA's best coach. Michael Jordan, let's go to the mid-90s, had the world's best coach in Phil Jackson. Scottie Pippen was the best Robin in the league to a Batman. Tony Kukoc was the best Euro. Dennis Rodman was the world's best rebounder. Luke Longley, very solid, run the court well big. I'm not mentioning Kerrs and Paxsons and all the other players like Ron Harper, Horace Grants, who played alongside him. People often joke about the 2007 Cavs. Even people that hate LeBron, even his haters admit that in 2007, LeBron dragged a bag of soda cans to the finals. And I mean, these weren't even like name brand soda cans. This was like Diet RC Cola. He dragged a roster of soda cans to the finals. Let's compare that roster to this one. This is a below average defensive roster. That was a younger roster and very, very, very good defensively. That's how they got in. This roster's junk. Chris Broussard joined us earlier today from New York City. Well, he did. He just didn't talk much. The point was, there has never been a Michael Jordan roster this bad. There hasn't. There has never been a Magic Johnson roster this bad. There hasn't. This is awful. I mean, you're watching last night. It's the third straight time they've been rolled by a Boston team with rookies, backups, and Al Horford. Again, Chris Broussard.
This is the worst supporting cast he has ever had this deep in the playoffs. And yes, I'm including 2007. The reason why, because that 07 Cavs team, as bad as it was offensively outside of LeBron, it was a great defensive team. That you said, what can I count on from Cleveland? Nothing other than LeBron. In 07, you could count on LeBron and great defense.
It's why I've always found LeBron as a polarizing figure to be remarkable. If I said to you, there's 5 polarizing figures in American sports, all of them make sense. I understand all of the polarizing figures in American sports. By the way, there's a lot of great guys who aren't polarizing. Mike Trout's great, he's not polarizing. Roger Federer's great, not polarizing. Serena's not polarizing. James Harden's not polarizing. Tom Brady's not polarizing. If I said to you, who are the 5 polarizing athletes in America today? It all makes sense. Let's start with Tiger Woods. Infidelity. When Tiger Woods broke onto the tour, he was pumping a fist. He was throwing clubs. He was swearing. He was young in an old guy's sport. I understand it. And then the infidelity that was public with his family, young new wife. I get it. I understand Tiger Woods today. Understand it. He wasn't golf. African-American, ripped up, swearing, not on protocol. I got that he was, along with the infidelity, polarizing. Then there's Colin Kaepernick. I get that he's polarizing. Politics, kneeling at a football game. The interpretation of it from players and fans is different. Listen, man, politics is hard everywhere. He may not think he's talking about politics, racial inequality, but how things land is different than what you think you're saying. Ever had an argument with your wife and you say something, it doesn't come out and land the way you want it to? He can say he's fighting for racial inequality, and I think he is. But how it landed to a lot of people was political. Anti-law enforcement. I understand the confusion. I understand why he is polarizing. How about Floyd Mayweather? He spent time in jail. Multiple allegations about completely, absolutely inexcusable behavior with women. He's also incredibly arrogant. All he talks about is money. I completely get why Floyd Mayweather is polarizing. I'm not a big fan of Floyd Mayweather. I'm not, but he is great. Then there's Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow's polarizing. Of course he is. He was doing religious ads before a Super Bowl. I mean, what do they tell you when you get into this business? Don't talk religion. What did they tell me when I got into broadcasting? Don't talk religion. He went all in on faith. He went all in on faith. The 4 people in sports who were polarizing, Tiger, Cap, Mayweather, Tim, I totally get all of them. I still can't figure out why LeBron James is viewed as polarizing. Because you love your Michael Jordan sneaker so much? It really is. It is remarkable to me that LeBron is even viewed as polarizing. He's a basketball player, maybe the best ever. And by the way, if I said any of these things about LeBron James, you couldn't deny any of them. He's never been in trouble. He's a great teammate. He's hugely charitable. He wins a ton. He married his high school sweetheart. He's coming home. Right? I can't figure it out.
Tell the world I'm coming home.
Look at Magic's support. Look at Michael's support. We should be rooting for this guy. LeBron outscored the other 4 Cavs players last night. I mean, I was watching that thing, and I'm not laying blame, but he was tired. He wouldn't say it. His coach said it. He looked gassed last night. He did. He just did. Car shopping's confusing. A lot of terms: list price, dealer price, invoice. TrueCar shows you what other people paid for the car you want. Pretty simple. New or used, go to TrueCar.com. It's a more confident car buying experience. Live, hour number 3 is coming up. This is The Herd. Wherever you may be and however you may be listening. iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, FS1. Sponsored by Firestone Complete Auto Care. Keep your car running newer, longer. Looks like we have an update. If you're a Golden State Warrior fan, here we are live in hour number 3. Shoot-around was completed. Klay Thompson was at shoot-around. Andre Iguodala was at shoot-around. Both participated. Klay Thompson's fine. He's going to play. That's good news. He'll play better than he did the other night. And Andre Iguodala is a game-time decision, but it looks like he'll play, and that helps their rotation. This is a team that looked gassed at the end of it. Everybody wants to make excuses. Golden State looked a little worn out at the end of it. They were out of their offensive rotations. Klay was banged up, and Andre Iguodala could not play. Listen, part of pro sports is attrition. How healthy are you at the end of the year? It matters in football. It matters in a pitching staff or a bullpen in baseball, and it matters in the NBA. So Game 5 tonight, Houston-Golden State. I like Golden State if Klay Thompson and Andre Iguodala both play. The Celtics went up 3-2 last night on LeBron, so I'm starting right there. Well. Little city out east. Boston. Oh, man. Way to put it together, Boston. Way to bury Cleveland early, Boston. Way to overwhelm the Cavs, Boston. Way to go up 3-2, Boston. You feeling good about yourself today. Way to go, Boston.
But if anybody waves a stick at you as you're shooting a free throw in Cleveland tomorrow night, Mommy, come and get me.
It'd be nice, Boston, as everybody kisses your butt today, about how great you are. Man, you are rolling 10-0 at home. Winning by 12.5 a game. You're awesome. Really, could you compete for more than 9 minutes on the road? Is that possible? Everybody looks good at home. Colin, what about LeBron? You mean the LeBron that swept Toronto, the number 1 seed? Winning the first 2 games on the road? That LeBron? Oh, sorry, I didn't know if you'd watched that series. You mean the LeBron that had 61 career road playoff wins? That LeBron? You mean the LeBron, Game 4, clutch, down 2-1, beat Indiana. At Indiana, that LeBron. Oh, yeah, because I've seen that LeBron this year, last year, year before. You do realize, Boston, I'm watching that game last night, and I'm thinking, congrats, you're going to get rolled tomorrow night in Cleveland. Setting up a Game 7 where LeBron in Game 7 averages 35 points, and in the last 25 series, LeBron has won at least one road game in every single one. Even won a couple one-year Oracle. Ooh, that's a tough place to play. Boy, look at all the Celtics today. Gun show, flexing their muscles. Try competing now for 7 minutes in Cleveland tomorrow night. You won't. You'll get rolled. Setting up a Game 7 against LeBron. Ask Indiana how that goes. I actually asked Golden State a couple years ago how that goes. LeBron's good in those Game 7s. Maybe you've heard of him. You know what the Celtics are? This is going to be really painful because today, Fitzy and Sully feeling really good in the South Bay about themselves. You know what Boston is? Boston's that kid that has a sleepover and he has to call mom at 9:30 to come pick him up.
Mom, I turned off the lights and I saw monsters. Mom, it's scary over here. Mom, they don't make me snickerdoodles and give me warm milk. Mom, I don't have my NBA pajamas on. Mommy, come and get me. They're waving things as I shoot a free throw behind the basket.
Congratulations, tough guys. At home, you're just unbelievable. LeBron has 61 road playoff wins. 2 this year at Toronto, the number 1 seed. And an incredible gutty performance, especially late fourth quarter at Indiana. Pretty good young team. You're 1-6 on the road. You get rolled. You quit. You couldn't beat Milwaukee. You couldn't beat Milwaukee on the road. Philadelphia basically beat you both times, and then they kind of gave one away. You know, their point guard's 9 years old. I understand that. But you do realize Game 7 at home is not like all the other home games. It's LeBron and veterans in Game 7, where he averages 35. We're in his last 25 playoff series. He's won at least one road game, and he'll win that one too. Let me shift to this. Do you like music? You ever notice what we write songs about that make us cry? They say like 80% of people who listen to music because it comforts them, makes them feel good. Having a sad day, a bad day, a rough day, the boss yells at them, the wife yells at them, the dad yells at them, comforts us. And we write songs all the time about the same thing. Country songs, classic songs, hip-hop songs. We write it about when you go back to help people in your hometown. They don't have the advantages you do. We love that song, man. This in America, if there's one thing we write songs about all the time, it's returning home. We love that song. That song, it makes me cry. I get emotional when I hear this song. LeBron is going to Akron, the less fortunate, the dysfunctional. He's taking his talents there. We always write songs about this. Country songs, hip-hop songs, classic songs, blues, jazz. Oh, my God, coming home. Man, I'm almost going to cry right now on the set. P. Diddy even made a remake of that Skylar Grey song. I kind of like P. Diddy's. But here's the funny thing. LeBron, they wrote that song about LeBron too, right? We played that song when LeBron came home. But LeBron is the only person in America that we've ever written that song about, which is a great savior, a great prodigy comes home. But the difference is right in the middle of that song, we changed to this song by Janet Jackson. What have you done for me lately? That's all you got, LeBron? What, I only get 7 trips to the finals? I only get 4? You only scored 42 last night? I only got 41 minutes of excellent, not 42? You only had 2 buzzer beaters so far in the playoffs? You ever notice that? Generally speaking, LeBron went to the most dysfunctional sports city in America to save them. Remember the song we played? I'm coming home. He went to save them. Generally, that gives you a built-in cushion. I'm coming home, man. I'm here to raise the city and the town and the people and the commerce and the economy. Kevin Durant, meanwhile, joined a championship roster. But yet, last night, LeBron shoots 50%, 26 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. Here's what I heard. That's all I get? That's all I get? What have you done for me lately? I mean, you went 1 for 6 on threes. Wait a minute, time out. We're forgetting the coming home part. Because Kevin Durant, by the way, on his bad night, shot only 38%, had only 3 assists. At home, with Hall of Famers. Crickets. LeBron's the only American who, when he goes home, we also demand that he gives us more and more and more and more. Let me show you kind of what's happening in the playoffs. Here's LeBron's supporting staff. Then there's Kevin Durant's. You may notice he's got 3 Hall of Famers. When you send the coming home song in for LeBron, and we all cried and we all loved it, and we all knew when he was going home, free agents don't want to play there. It's not the best owner, not the best GM, not the most glamorous city. It's Cleveland. Bad weather, football team's a joke, baseball teams never won a World Series since like the 1800s. Franchise without LeBron's garbage. If they had a hockey team, they once did. They left town. They were so bad. So we all love the coming home stuff. But yet last night, LeBron, who looked a little tired, gosh, I don't know, from carrying the city, this is once again what I heard. Don't get it. Do not get it. Only American. We cried over a couple years ago, and we want more and more and more and more and more. You ever think, folks, he doesn't have anything left? It's his 8th straight final run. He's a little fatigued. He's a little fatigued. And with that, I bring on 14 NBA seasons, 12 teams drafted in round 1. Jim Jackson. So I'm watching last night, and I'm not making excuses for him.
Great.
But not much there for LeBron. Numbers weren't terrible. What did you see?
Mental fatigue.
Mental.
Yeah, that's where it's at. I mean, because I was on Undisputed, and earlier today, Skip was talking about Michael Jordan at 34, what he did in the playoffs. He didn't complain about being tired. I said, well, it's a difference when you have Scottie Pippen and you have Rodman, you have Ron Harper, you have Horace, you have all these guys that help you figure out ways to be efficient and don't carry all of the load.
In the regular season.
In the regular season. LeBron has been carrying the load all season. So what I saw last night, his body looked fine to me. It was his mind, the mental fatigue of having to put his teammates in situations to be successful in order for the team to be successful. Those 6 turnovers he had, a lot of it was, well, let me try to get my guys an easy basket so they can get going. Instead of taking, like the pass he made to Kevin, tried to make to Kevin Love in transition, he could have just went to the basket, but he's trying to get him a layup. So that mental fatigue is what I saw last night, because it's just like, what more do I have to do? And again, he's put a lot of that on himself as well, because he wanted to play all 82.
Yeah.
He wanted a certain kind of team makeup in regards to shooters.
All right.
And now he has to deal with that himself, internally, and figure out ways to fight through it and get through this series to get back to a championship.
It's funny about, they always say in baseball, the best catch is the last one you saw.
Mm-hmm.
So if let's just say I think Cleveland will roll Boston in Game 6, but let's say you lose at home and you lose the series.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron's got a month until free agency starts, right? Like when I watched LeBron last night, it's one thing to be tired, but when I watch LeBron mentally, if his last memory is getting beat by a Boston team without their stars, I just think it weighs on him. Fans tend to think, well, he's rich. People think athletes are rich, so it doesn't matter. And Biggie Smalls, more money, more problems.
That's right.
Now I'm not saying I'd rather be poor than rich, but what I'm saying is people tend to think wealth solves everything. And it just gives you more problems. They're often better problems. But I look at LeBron right now, and I think he's shot. He looks like it all the time. By the way, there were 3 times last night. I'm not sure he crossed half court on defense.
Yeah, but it hurts, too, because he'll put his team in a tough situation when he doesn't get back on defense. It now ends up being like a 3-on-1, 3-on-2 situation because he's trying to figure out how to save energy, or he's just flat out frustrated. But to your point about more money, everybody has issues, and it's all relative to their situation. What may be something to you, you look at an athlete and say, well, he doesn't have to worry about it. He got millions of dollars. That doesn't mean anything. Let me tell you something. When I first got in the league, I got a big paycheck, okay? But we were losing.
You were terrible.
A lot, okay? The paycheck didn't mean anything in regards to it didn't make me feel better because I had to deal with, the Mavericks suck. You're not winning anything. You didn't get respect around the league. People looked at you like you're just a loser. So it didn't matter what my bank account said. To me personally, I didn't feel good.
Well, you were winning in high school, winning in AAU, winning in college.
That's right.
And now you're the biggest loser in the league.
And I felt better. Let me tell you something. When I got to Sacramento and we were rolling.
Oh, you were on that good
and I didn't make as much, but I felt a hell of a lot better. When I was in Phoenix, the same thing, because winning spurred so much more energy for me. And it made me love the game a lot more. And again, having money, it's just like having a lot of talent or not having enough talent. It's still an issue. You got to figure out how to deal with the most talented people. Or how do they work? With money, you got to still figure out how to navigate through that world, especially when you don't come from it.
When you look at tonight, to me, it feels like the first time in Kevin Durant's career in Golden State, we got ourselves a crisis. Okay, Iggy's not 100. Clay's not 100. Steph's not 100. Houston's beating you 4-7. They've shown they could beat you at Oracle. And by the way, they were really physical with you, and it bothered you, so they're going to be really physical again tonight. Like, I kind of feel like, you know how when Kevin was in Oklahoma City, they called him Mr. Unreliable, and there was a lot of pushback?
Yeah.
Like, I feel for the first time he's going to have LeBron pressure on him tonight. Like, this is the biggest game in Durant's career tonight.
But isn't that what we wanted? Because as much as we love Golden State, we wanted to see Golden State get pushed. We wanted to see if there was a team out there that would push Golden State back on their heels, and could they respond in the Western Conference, okay? We've seen it done with Cleveland in regards to Cleveland being able to win a championship. Now, again, that was before Durant. But to me, it's intriguing. That's what I want to see. I want to see how they respond in these situations. On the road, when you're favored to win, you've been the darlings of the league, and now your back is against the wall a little bit. There's just a little inkling of doubt there, because Houston figured out something in that game at Oracle defensively that got him out of whack. The questions are, Steph looked good, but he didn't. Kevin Durant had opportunities, but he didn't step up. I love it. If I'm Golden State, I'm in a situation where we got some more stuff to prove. Let's embrace this and figure out a way to get through it, because ultimately, on paper, they're the more talented team.
I got to ask you, because you played on 12 teams.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were a guy, you have your opening team, and then you start moving.
Right.
Before you moved, because I've also moved, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've moved cross country 4 times.
Right.
And unlike LeBron, who says he doesn't decide until the day before, I have this belief that I always decide a year out to 6 months out. But I not only don't tell people, I don't admit it to myself.
Yeah.
That when you're going to move, you've made the decision a year in advance. You can't even be honest with yourself about it, and you're circling it like a vulture, and you're circling the property, and you're circling, all of a sudden you're like, buy the property. When LeBron James right now, today, take me into what, because you moved a lot.
Yeah.
Do you
and not
think,
by choice, too, a lot of times.
do you think he has a intellectual, emotional lean right now where he's going?
It's tough, because LeBron is a different kind of dude. I mean, in regards to his future and what he's thinking. Because keep in mind, he's always had control. So it doesn't matter if he's thinking about it today or tomorrow, or he wakes up the next day, next week, and say, I'm out.
You don't think he has a ton of anxiety because he controls it?
But I don't think he does. I think the first time it was tougher, because the attachment to Cleveland, being there, that was his first team. It was tougher on him. You can see it in his press conference when he did it at the Boys and Girls Club. His body language was tight and tense.
Yeah.
He was really nervous about saying it, because he was going to let a lot of people down. I think he's been through that now. He's on that other side. He's older, where, as you get older, as a person, you're going to say some stuff because you really don't care. It's just like, you know what, I'm older now.
Once you get older.
It's just like, okay, what else? I don't think he's angst as much about it. I think he thinks about it, his future, his legacy, where he'll be, how it affects Cleveland. But he's already given the city what he promised, which was a championship. So I don't think it bothers him as much. Does it creep in his mind what could be? Of course. He's human. But I don't think it's overwhelmingly taxing like it was the first time.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a surprise. I remember knowing Stephen A.Smith told me, and I think he broke the story. He goes, I didn't know 48 hours out. He goes, I knew about 30 hours out. And the coming home story, which happened, Lee Jenkins, who's on our show regularly, broke that story. I remember I was on this set. And it came down. Right. We were on the air live, and we're like, holy good crow, what's going on? I have a feeling I just have a feeling it's going to leak.
Yeah.
Like, this one's going to leak early, and I still go 50% Cleveland and a 40% Lakers and 10% other.
Well, it's interesting, too, because what I've heard, too, from a Philly perspective is that I don't think it works, but in Philly because of Ben Simmons. But keep in mind, inside talk is that LeBron would prefer to play off the ball. There's a point. And the reason being, you say, well, LeBron has never done it. In high school, in the league, well, his contention is I never had a player from the point guard position that really set up guys to be successful. Kyrie was a one-on-one kind of guy that kind of did things for himself, and so was D. Wade. So if you think about his career, he really never had that point guard that could really distribute and run a team. So it does make a little bit of sense when you talk about Philly and why he may or his camp may be thinking about it, is because you have a pass-first type of playmaker that takes the pressure off LeBron, and now he can just play. Whether that works or not, whether he does it, but I do think that's in his mind, back of his mind.
By the way, if we ever hear this song again, John, if you ever hear this song again,
I'm coming home.
remember this. He's got 2 homes in L.A. So in a way, this is his second home.
Let the rain wash away.
Come on, I'm just saying.
Okay, but he needs somebody else because you're not getting past Golden State with him. Now, you got 2 open slots. What makes the most sense there?
Paul George, LeBron, and a bunch of kids.
Okay, well, can Paul George and LeBron still beat Golden State?
No.
Okay. And LeBron is about winning. Now, again, he's going to do his business no matter what. He don't have to live in L.A. And you said this before. He's mobile enough. Today's world, you don't have to live in L.A. to
I'm
get
just throwing it out there.
Get it in. I know you're throwing it out there.
Because I could be a season ticket holder.
Why not just go for free like you usually do? I mean, you don't need to buy tickets. Come on. You're on TV.
That is a good
point.
point.
Don't waste the money, bro. Fox got great seats there.
That's a very good point. Jim Jackson, good seeing you, bud.
Good seeing you, too.
Car shopping's confusing. A lot of terms. Dealer price, list price, invoice. True Car shows what other people paid for the car. You get there to the dealership, you know what it's going to cost. Accessories, fees, TrueCar.com, new or used. By the way, John's got a good one. Something just came down the line. So we rarely do a Herdline News that is also breaking news. Does this qualify for breaking news? It's not.
I would say so.
Breaking news is but breaking news tends to be like allegation, serious, massive. This is
more. It's just new information. Information was just released. There's not really controversial, I would say.
Before we go to the information, do you agree with the information?
Some of it, a lot of it, I do not understand.
Really? So it's confusing information.
You will have some more complaints about the media after I get through the story.
So no, it's the media decided what you're about to show.
Yes, this would be media-related information.
I don't trust the media.
I know you don't, and you're not going to after I tell you everything. But you're going to like part of it. Part of it you're going to be happy with the media about.
And then part of it I'm not.
Part of it you're going to be very unhappy.
Okay. You do understand that the media trust in America is eroding quickly, right? And so I'm not the only one. All right, veteran newsman John Goulet.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herdline News.
Okay, Colin, the All-NBA team.
Is this it?
Just got announced.
Okay,
yes, this is the news. So
this is the All-NBA team voted on by newspaper people.
Do you want to guess the 5 first team All-NBA?
All right, let me guess. Okay, so point guard, shoot. Now, by the way, is it by position?
2 guards, 2 forwards, and kind of a center/forward are the 5.
Okay, so the center/forward. Okay, I'm writing it down here. I know James Harden's on the team, right?
Correct.
Media people fascinated with him.
Yep.
Steph Curry should be on the team.
First team, no.
Okay. LeBron should be on it.
He is, yes.
Kevin Durant should be on it.
Yes.
Greek Freak.
Not first team, no.
Okay. So 60 Minutes is doing a piece on him, but he's not first team All-NBA.
He is not.
So 60 Minutes literally did one NBA piece this year, and a guy that was second team All-NBA.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I got Harden, LeBron, and KD right.
Yep.
Okay. Westbrook?
Nope, second team.
Oh, thank God. Okay, let me think.
You need one more guard and one more non-guard.
Kyrie?
No, not anything.
He played 80% of the year.
Let's see. He was not even third team. He did receive vote. He was in the others receiving votes category.
I'm overthinking this, aren't I?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, what about Anthony Davis?
There you go. There's your center/forward, first team All-NBA.
So KD, LeBron, Anthony Davis.
Yep.
James Harden.
Yep.
And am I overthinking the guard? Or is it like surprising?
It's a little surprising to me, yeah. He had a very good season.
Well, he apparently. Did 60 Minutes do a profile on him?
I don't think so.
Okay, so he had a very good season. Is he East or West?
West.
Chris Paul?
Nope. He's not. None of them. He was the last player to not make one of the teams. He was others receiving votes.
He didn't make any of the teams?
Chris Paul did not make any teams. He had 0 playoff success this year.
Damian Lillard.
There you go. Yes, that's your starting
Okay,
five.
so this is the starting. So let me just see it real quick. Damian Lillard.
Yep.
They had Damian Lillard.
Yep. James Harden. That's your backcourt. Your forwards, LeBron and Durant, and your center/forward, Anthony Davis. Now, here's where I think you'll like the media.
Okay.
There were 2 guys that were unanimous, James Harden and LeBron James. Unanimous first team. LeBron, even last year, was not unanimous. Someone did not have him first team, and the year before that, he wasn't either.
What's the second team?
Second team, this is where it gets weird. The second team, Giannis, Russell Westbrook, Joel Embiid, LaMarcus Aldridge, and DeMar DeRozan.
Oh, good hell.
We were debating this right when it came out. The third All-NBA team would be at least a 6-point favorite over the second All-NBA team. Steph Curry, that guy, third team. Victor Oladipo, Karl Anthony Towns, Jimmy Butler, Paul George.
How can Minnesota not win a playoff series?
I'm not sure.
God.
By the way, your guy Embiid, him being second team and not first team, cost him $29 million in bonuses. Yes.
$29 million in bonuses?
If he had made the first team, $29 million. I don't know the exact details.
Who's
of the
his
contract.
agent? You can't have that.
Well, he has like a max deal. I just think there's extra money if he's first team.
$29 million? So you're basically some writer from Sheboygan. Cost you $29.
Okay, luckily he wasn't close to getting first team.
Okay.
It's not like it was that close. Other people receiving some votes you find interesting. Ben Simmons. I guess you would put him. He was the 4th most votes of anyone who didn't make it.
Okay.
People that got voted for, those people, whoever voted for them, should easily have their vote taken away.
Who?
Steven Adams got some votes. Trevor Ariza. Someone thought Trevor Ariza was a third-team All-NBA player. Dwight Howard, who's not only still in the league, but someone voted for him as third-team All-NBA. Dwight Howard.
Do we know if it was the local guy?
I don't know. That information, I believe, does come out, but I haven't seen it yet. But the fact that Steph Curry, third-team All-NBA, kind of shows you where the
By the way,
NBA is at.
Russell Westbrook, second-team All-NBA. So if you asked every GM in the league, who would you run on your team, who do you think they'd take? They'd take Steph Curry over Westbrook.
Well, how about the people that voted for DeMar DeRozan over Steph Curry for second team?
Do these NBA writers have League Pass? These games are available on television. Are they watching them?
Apparently they only watch local markets or are from Canada.
Okay,
moving on. As we mentioned earlier, LeBron been carrying his team all postseason. Last night, they lost Game 5, and LeBron looked pretty down. He looked pretty exhausted.
He was missing whatever it was he was missing.
After the game, Ty Lue and LeBron both talked about his fatigue. Lue said LeBron looked tired. LeBron said that wasn't the case. Here is sound from both of them.
Did you think, did LeBron look tired to you? And especially, did you think he looked tired at all tonight?
He looked a little tired to me, yes. No concerns. You got to be ready to play now. No concerns.
LeBron, you mentioned the fatigue thing earlier, but were you under the weather at all in this game?
No, I'm fine. And I didn't mention the fatigue either. One of you guys did. I'm fine.
I mean,
he wasn't. You could just tell.
No, you could see. And at the end, the game ended with him sitting on the scorer's table, chugging water. Do you think he's conserving his energy for the big move to LA coming up?
No,
because that can be taxing.
No, I think LeBron's smart. I think LeBron, when they were down like 12, they had a little bit of a run. They got it to like 9 or 10, and then Celtics got it to 15. I'm sitting there watching, and he's like, okay, I'm going to tap out.
There are downsides to playing all 82 games.
Yeah.
This is why he didn't used to do that, because he's exhausted.
I always think, I would be a guy that would play all the games because I would be bored sitting in my hotel room. I could see missing a home game because I was with my family and maybe I had a little fever.
Yeah.
If you're on a 12-game road trip, God, if you don't play, I could never miss a road game. Like every time I got sick years ago, I went to a Super Bowl trip, at the other place, and I got sick about Tuesday, and I'm like, you got to work. Well, what are you going to do? It'd be one thing like, you'll all wake up 2 or 3 times a year, and I'm like, God, I feel like hell. Yeah. You still come to work, home, but like, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't play I'd play every NBA game because that's my personality. But I understand after 7 or 8 years in these long stretches and these long playoff runs, I totally get the following year, a guy literally sitting down with his family and like, I'm going to miss these 6 games.
Sure.
Sit down with a general manager and just say, on that road trip, I'm taking the last road game off in Philly and I'm coming back. It's pretty easy. You can find, even when I do my schedule here at Fox and iHeart, I will find days where I'm like, oh, it's an incredibly slow sports day. I'm gonna take off Friday in July, so by Thursday at noon, I'm not on until Monday. I mean, you got to be strategic about it. I think everybody is.
And finally, Colin, I know you're not a big hockey guy. I suspect some people in the back may have forced the story in. Last night, though, Alex Ovechkin, who's always been known as a playoff failure, and the Caps, they beat the Lightning and won Game 7 of the conference final, so they are making it to the Stanley Cup.
Wow.
Which is a pretty big deal because Ovechkin's
the best player in hockey.
Right, but he never wins.
And
excuse me,
the Golden Knights are the best story in hockey.
Will you watch some of the Stanley Cup finals?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Vegas, or the Knights, are minus 160 to win the title, so they are the favorites over Ovechkin. Vegas is faster. Vegas has 4 lines. They're all good. They're fast. They skate fast. I know you say that. I'm worried about what are you comparing that to?
Freight train. I don't know. What do you want me to? A barge? What do you want me to?
Well, because you just say that, but you mean compared to the other team they played that one time?
In basketball, you almost always take the best player. But in hockey, Ovechkin's easily the best player, but Vegas has got a thing going on, so I'd take the best momentum. So I would take Vegas. Veteran newsman John Goulet.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
There's a new F word in sports, and it's not what you're thinking. That's next in Best for Last. It's the Herd. I was talking about this earlier, about how wealth can create complacency, is that it's a very rare trust fund kid that has the work ethic of a blue-collar kid. And I used to joke all the time with a guy named Kirk Herbstreit that worked at the other company. I said, the death of our kids, we're puncturing their drive with granite countertops and crown molding in the house. Like, kids are comfortable, it looks nice, they eat in the granite countertop, they feel safe. And I'm said, we both grew up, Kirk and I both grew up, having to battle, didn't have extra stuff. I had divorces, it was tougher. And there's something really true to it. Fans always want their athletes to get paid. I always hear UFC fans, when's Dana White going to pay the athlete? You want a lazier athlete? What you want is an athlete fighting for his life in that octagon, fighting for his life in that ring with no complacency. Because it's very rare to find that in people. The Kobe Bryants are rare, that he can have $350 million of net worth, and he goes to every practice and wants to slay it. Shaq, that's why the Lakers got rid of Shaq. Shaq got his money, got his fame, got his rings, and didn't work as hard. He missed practice, he missed games, he didn't want to work as hard. He's an all-time great player, but Kobe was still, after all the money and all the rings and all the fame, was giving you that practice, where he wouldn't leave practice if he was losing in horse to any of the players or even the coaches. He'd stay there all night. And so you're seeing something in the NBA right now, and we'll talk about it now in Best for Last.
After almost 3 hours, Colin apparently hasn't gotten to the point yet. Quit holding out on us, cowherd. It's the best for last.
So there's a new F word in the NBA, and it's fatigue. It was a topic of disagreement after the Warriors and Cavs lost. Steve Kerr said the Warriors were fatigue. Steph said that wasn't the reason they lost. Here it is.
I felt like in the fourth quarter, we just ran out of gas. We scored 12 points. Tried to buy a little bit of rest for our guys, but they just outplayed us in the fourth, and they earned it.
Fatigue is not an excuse for either side, so that'll never creep in your mind.
Okay, so coach said fatigue, player said no. Ty Lue, LeBron was fatigued. LeBron said he wasn't.
He looked a little tired to me, yes. No concerns. You got to be ready to play now. No concerns.
No, I'm fine. And I didn't mention the fatigue either. One of you guys did. I'm fine.
Did you notice that with LeBron? I didn't mention fatigue. Players know because of the money they make, they're going to get crushed if they say they're tired. Coaches are acknowledging, yeah, our guys are really tired. Of course they are. But here's the stat of the playoffs. Basketball has always been, my entire life, I've been watching it 4 decades, a game of runs. There have been 31 games this playoff season when a team has been down by 10 or more at halftime. These teams are 3-28. Conclusion, teams are now quitting. Teams are done. Teams have no second run. Teams have no fight. Why? Because players have all this guaranteed money. 2 years ago, the CBA created contracts where Otto Porter, a marginal player on a marginal team, is generationally wealthy. Otto Porter's fine. He's not special. He's being paid more than 90% of NFL players. Fans always want their athletes to get theirs. What you want is your organization to be nimble enough to go get good players at any time. And the second thing you want is athletes to be hungry. What you don't want is blowouts in the NBA. And you're increasingly, I'm watching that game last night. Boston gets up 12. That game's over. That game is over. Now you say, what about Houston? They were great the other night because Houston was desperate. It shouldn't take desperation for teams to fight and give you a second, third, and fourth run. Basketball's always been a game of runs. But increasingly, games are decided by the first quarter. Look at the Celtics-Cavs series so far. Now, you got a young team with the personality of a young team, and you got an old team with the personality of an old team. So it's not like you have the same kind of players. You have a young coach with a young team. Then you have an older former player coach with a veteran team. The leader in the first quarter in this series has won all but one game. First quarter. That is just never the case before. So I think, and I said this, I've seen this so much. I wrote about this in my first book. I see it in comedy. It's just not as funny telling jokes about the Hamptons. Yonkers is funny. The Hamptons are not funny. They're smug. And I see this with hip-hop and country stars, is that it's harder to write great music. When's the last big hit U2 had? When's the last big hit Mick Jagger had? Like, when you get wealthy, it is hard to be motivated. My favorite line of all time is from Marvin Hagler. He's an all-time great boxer, dominates here in America. I think he eventually moved to Italy, and he was like an action star. And he said, it's hard to get up for a 5 a.m. workout when you're sleeping in silk sheets. And that's what I think you have in the NBA. Look at that Cleveland-Boston. Whoever leads the first quarter wins the game. Games are over. Teams are quitting. And I was talking to somebody who I have a lot of respect for yesterday, Ryan Russillo, and I were on the phone. And Ryan, he does a podcast, and he used to work at ESPN, and he's a real big NBA fan. And we were talking yesterday. I was sitting in my car. I was getting ready to work out, and we called. And he said, man, I can't figure it out. I mean, he goes, I love the NBA, but like there's teams just fold. And we just sat and talked about this for like 10 minutes, and I'm like, man, you get money, life gets comfortable. You don't have to fight. You just don't. And I love the NBA, but like I fully expect Boston, this young, hungry team, to go into Cleveland, get rattled early, and the Cavaliers roll by 15. I think you're going to get that. Is that tomorrow night? And then I think you're going to get Game 7 in Boston, and both teams will be equally hungry. That's always been the great thing about March Madness. I had a sports bettor tell me this years ago. He said, the truest thing you can bet in American sports, the truest thing you can bet is March Madness, because you're getting everybody's best effort. It's one and done. He said the NBA playoffs are hard. He goes, first of all, you can have the right side, and the other team hits a bunch of threes late, and you get beat on three. You have the right side, but the 3-point shot is extended leads. It cuts leads. But in college basketball, it's that desperation and that sudden death which creates this palpable urgency. And I just don't think you have that in the NBA much. Now, I do think tonight you have it. You've got it tonight, no question. Tomorrow on our show, Malcolm Gladwell, Eddie House stops by as well. You can always go to theherdnow.com, theherdnow.com for more free stuff. I want to thank Chris Broussard, Eric Mangini, and Jim Jackson for stopping by our show, and Eddie House and Malcolm Gladwell. Boy, he's got a great podcast. Will be joining us tomorrow. Tonight, Game 5, biggest of Kevin Durant's career. If they're healthy, I'll take the Warriors. See you tomorrow.